Well, welcome to Western Australia, and that behind me is the gateway to the southern forests of WA.
Andrew, Manjimup, and this place has ridden high on the shoulders of the forest industry for more than 140 years. But like timber towns across the country, this place has seen its fair share of good times and bad.
Since the mid-1800s, the forests of southwest WA have been recognised for the size and quality of timber they produced, and pretty much ever since there's been an industry dedicated to the timber trade.
Really began with the development of agricultural land. So in the early 1900s and through the 1930s, areas were being developed for agriculture. That in some cases resulted in patches of farmland being developed, but other areas have been regenerated back to forest. A forest like the one that we're standing in at the moment is an area of forest regenerated in around the 1930 to 1940 era.
And a couple of the species to come out of this area, Nick, are pretty iconic ones, being Jarrah and Karri.
You don't need to go too far to find evidence of the area's history in timber harvesting, and that timber harvesting brought prosperity to Manjimup for more than 100 years.
Yes, but in 2001, everything changed.
We're stopping the old growth logging. We're going to reserve those forests for future generations of Western Australians.
After 2003, WA's timber industry will shrink by 60%. Then the real test will be finding new jobs for hundreds of displaced workers.
In 2001, that was when the government put an end to all old growth logging in Western Australia, and our industry was downsized by about 70–75%. So it was a big downsizing at that time. There was population declines in our small towns. A lot of small businesses closed because it's not just the people that are directly employed by the industry, but there's a lot of flow-on employment from the timber industry. So it was hard hitting on a lot of the main street shop fronts and just general population decline, a lot of business closures. It was very hard at the time.
Manjimup was one of the community's hardest hit. Upwards of 60 businesses in town shut up shop, with flow-on effects over the entire community.
Out of all the things that happened, the thing that stuck most with me was the fact that the chaplain at Manjimup Senior High School went from doing 2 half-days a week to full-time to cope with the distress, that the uncertainty and the changes that were occurring in their parents' lives was the effect that it was having on them.
12 years down the track and Manjimup is bouncing back, slowly.
You can't take out multi-million-dollar worth of business and say it's going to turn around in 10 years. This is decades to turn that around. But again, these communities are resilient, and people find other opportunities. A lot of young families move away, but new people come into town, new ideas. Makes you work harder, makes you think smarter, makes you work harder, makes you work harder. Yeah, we'll get there.
For the timber industry, working harder has meant re-engineering to handle the smaller logs. It's also meant a more intensive management system for the remaining pockets of production forests.
Our management is taking that on board, and we're looking at stands like this one. We actively look to thin the forest to promote growth, to get those girth sizes up to a size that matches what industry requirements are. And looking at working with industry to develop new product lines and new log production methods to basically maximise the efficiency of the operation, minimise the costs, and ultimately try and make sure the industry is able to continue to operate in a viable manner.
And in the well-heeled suburbs of cities around the world, demand remains strong for WA's iconic native timbers.
All right, so a truck getting loaded here, Chaz, and these are nice-looking saw logs, mate. What's their story?
Yeah, look, this is an area of 80-year-old regrowth forest, producing primarily first-grade Karri saw logs.
Yep.
These will be delivered into our local sawmill at Pemberton, where they'll be cut into basically high-value solid timber structural products and value-added timber products.
And if we're looking for a reason why timber towns continue to bounce back after all the knocks, this is a pretty good place to start. It's a furniture workshop where all those WA species get turned into lovely pieces of furniture, Andrew, that people want in their homes.
That's right, and despite the shake-up and the restructure, timber is still worth $1.6 billion a year to Western Australia, which means towns like Manjimup will remain timber towns for many years to come.
people want the resource. I mean, the only reason we have a timber industry is because the community demand our products. It's not like we're producing something and we're forcing people to take it. They want paper, they want furniture, they want flooring. We produce what people want. We do it in a sustainable and responsible way. That's why we exist.
After a turbulent decade, the West Australian timber industry is looking forward to a stable, steady future. The sector contributes $1.6 billion annually to the state economy, and a new forest management plan provides timber access for at least the next 10 years.